As I'm sure many of you are aware, 2020 has significantly scarred our minds and our memories. So today, I'm going to begin by discussing 2015, arguably the strangest, most eventful year of my life. Ironically, it is the year I least remember. I don't recollect any details of that year's events. Instead, all I recall are the emotions. Paradoxically, at the time, I weighed half the amount I do today, and still somehow felt the heaviest I've ever felt. With every step I took, I had to drag myself from one point to another. I was too lethargic to lift a finger, let alone a leg. Never before had I felt inertia so intensely. My family and I performed Hajj, a Muslim pilgrimage, that year, and to this day I sheepishly shrug my shoulders in ignorance whenever they share anecdotes about that time. After all, I can only remember that time as a personal hell. I was 12 and old enough to recall such meaningful fragments of my past, and yet I couldn't. Some may attribute my amnesia to some sort of Freudian repression, but I would like to think that it is a consequence of a simple biological phenomenon: starvation. Starvation is often associated with food. However, expand it beyond its restrictive connotations, and starvation can apply to just about anything. We've all likely experienced hunger at some point in our lives, but have we experienced starvation? Whether in terms of food or affection, we're all malnourished. Even in 2021, so far, we've been alone, and we've certainly felt isolated. Naturally, we've been starving for company, a physical and somehow more real and thus comforting company instead of its virtual counterpart. Our eyes have been starving for views far more pleasant than a 12:8 screen. Our health has been starving for well-being. Some of us are starved of scientific and political literacy, whether we like to admit it or not. Students are starving for a normal education. Teachers are starving for a normal mode of teaching. Marginalized communities have been starved of safety and support. Many are starved of enough funds, jobs, security, equality, equity, and of course, some of us are starved of actual food. We know what happens to an individual biologically when they're starving. With enough time, their glucose, fat, and muscle mass is exhausted. Their heart rhythm destabilizes. They no longer have the capacity to consume enough to survive, and eventually the individual will perish. Even this worrisome list falls short of the other various entailments of starvation. But what happens to a person when they're psychologically starving? Perhaps this is a question you might be able to answer yourself. Even if we aren't starving, we are all likely deficient in some form of nourishment. We're all empty vessels in need of fulfillment. Accordingly, we seek meaning in life, whatever we can mentally conceive. To cope with the discomfort of emptiness, we binge on cereal, on books, TV shows, movies, on starvation. For sustainability, we seek education to shape us into productive intellectual beings. Nourished with a bare minimum amount of food, we are limited to live passively and barely survive. We enable organ functionality. Our hearts beat, our lungs breathe, our kidneys detoxify. But otherwise, we are capable of nothing more. We lack enough energy to take a few strides, to remember we are to be bedridden. To say the least, that was 2015 for me. Fortunately, subsequent years have been more full of vitality. Nourished with food enough for our individual needs, we thrive. We possess the ability to think, concentrate, and learn. Nourished with education and psychological support, we become the ablest versions of ourselves. We create concepts, we develop personalities, we gain a more profound sense of the world we live in. Not only do we devise a purpose for ourselves, but we also have the drive to fulfill it. We carry the potential to evolve and nourish others with our perspectives, assistance, and empathy. Perhaps starvation is a matter much too macabre for a Monday morning, but it is worth realizing that we are indeed like plants, only needier. Nonetheless, investment pays off, so until you can confidently assert that you and all your existence are whole, it only stings to suppress your starvation. Instead, accept your hunger, both yours and others and honor it. Thank you. For my shout outs, I would like to begin by thanking every teacher I've had, both in and out of school. You've all raised me, teaching me all that I've never before known and shaping me into the scholar and person I am today. Your efforts, especially in these past several months of misery, certainly have not gone unnoticed or unappreciated. More specifically, Miss Ballier, Dr. T, Miss Hodges, and Miss Belzer, to whom I'll be sending my shout-outs individually. Mr. Hallway, you've taught me to embrace the ambiguity in literature, and ever since, I've applied that philosophy to my daily life. Each of the works who have read in AP Lit defined small, memorable eras within junior year for me. In addition to poetry, I developed a greater penchant for jazz thanks to you. I genuinely miss listening to K-Jazz 88.1 and Advisory. Mr. Ramos, you make history more tangible by incorporating current events into your curriculum. Believe me when I say that I have never been more politically enlightened and engaged than I am now. And I have you to thank for that. Sorry for always being the last person in class to finish their assessments and holding you back because of that. Miss Mundy, thank you for reminding me of the big picture, whenever it comes to biology and everything else. Your repetition of the endosymbiotic theory still rings in my ear, and it has made me interested in further studying evolution. Miss PD, thank you for caring for my well-being over the years. I loved having you as my teacher this school year. I appreciate the way you apply psychology in class. By starting off class with music, it certainly uplifts my mood and sets the tone for the rest of the class time. Miss Morse, it has been a delight learning about psychology with you and Miss PD. Peer mentoring has been a phenomenal opportunity and experience that has allowed me to refine my leadership skills and redraw my role in the school community. Thank you for consistently checking in with my well-being. Miss Blanchette, how are you the only female math teacher I've ever had in high school? I'm so glad to finally be taught by you this year, and I'm excited about what AP Calc AB holds in store. Mr. DeMoss, it's always a pleasure to have political discourse in your class and then awkwardly segue to the class agenda by relating our discussions to environmental science. Ms. Beshke, despite teaching AP Lang in the middle of trimester 2, you make your classes eventful beyond imagination. I'm excited for the rest of the year with you. Miss Adriana, thank you for always being encouraging whenever you handed me my report cards. I loved interviewing you for Spanish class last year, and I miss your cheerful presence on campus. Miss A and Miss B, you somehow managed to make PE something I look forward to at the end of the day in sophomore year. I've missed seeing you two around campus. Mrs. Dimet and Miss Castania, even without the SATs, the college application process has tested me in unimaginable ways. I am ever grateful for your ongoing support during such an arduous academic year, whether that was through proofreading my college essays or informing me about scholarship opportunities. You two prepared me for the various aspects of the seemingly endless and undoubtedly painful process. Tuba, I may write a lot, but right now I find myself at a loss of words when talking about you. I love spending every little moment with you, whether we spend them mocking American Horror Story characters, listening to music while driving, playing heads up with fairy lights on, or staying up well past midnight talking about absolute nonsense. I love watching movies and TV shows with you. I love having tough conversations with you. I love hearing your perspective on everything. I love that we overcome disputes and still respect one another. I love that we still have a lot to learn together. I love our secret languages and our indescribable spiritual bond. I love you.